The Ravens lost to the Steelers 19-20. Lamar on the season has close to 2,900 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 13 picks. He's 18th in QBR. And in the last 3 games, he has 3 touchdowns and 6 picks. Do you think Lamar is getting a pass for playing poorly? Because before, it used to be Lamar, he plays great. People ignore it. They still find that one critique. But now we see Lamar is actually not playing up to his potential, and it doesn't seem like too many people are criticizing him as much as they did before when he was playing great, ironically.
Yeah, I think Lamar is having arguably the worst season of his career so far. Statistically, I mean, earlier in the year, the eye test was telling me, because early in the year, his numbers were very similar to last season's, where he came down from the MVP level. But I thought just the eye test, the way he was throwing the ball, was very impressive, and I thought he improved.
Confidently as well.
Yeah, but this year, I mean, across the board, his numbers are down. His career low in QBR and passer rating. His turnovers are up. He's also taken the most sacks in his career with 6 games left to play. But with that being said, I mean, the Ravens are still 8-4. They're going to make the playoffs. They could potentially still win a playoff game because you're going to have Lamar. You have a good chance of whoever you're playing, your quarterback's probably better than them. The Ravens as a whole this season, I'm kind of throwing out. You know, like, maybe it's not fair because every team deals with injuries, but like from literally August, they've been dealing with just gruesome injuries to 2 really key positions. One being running back. And obviously their entire scheme is based on running the football. They had the retirement home out there with Latavius Murray, Devontae Smith, and Le'Veon Bell at one point, right? They lost J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill. You know, I don't even know how that happens all in the same room. They must have had, someone was in the water or something in Baltimore. But then they lost both their star corners with Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. Lost their starting safety to Sean Elliott, starting left tackle Ronnie Stanley, who was supposed to take that leap after they traded
Orlando Brown
to KC earlier in the offseason. Then they also were out their first-round pick, Rashad Bateman, for 5 weeks. So does that give a valid excuse for Lamar's poor play? I think, because I'm one of the biggest Lamar fans, I think he's potentially to be elite, maybe not as a passer, but just overall as a quarterback. But he's had games this season against the Colts, against the Chiefs, where he's elevated the team, and I think he could do that. I just think this season, when you have so many injuries, especially to the most important piece, being the running backs and how this offense is run, I'm kind of giving the Ravens and Lamar a little bit of a break because they're still 8-4 and going to make the playoffs. If this happened to a lot of other teams, we wouldn't be saying the same thing.
A lot of what you're saying is basically what I'm going to say, truthfully. Only issue that I have with Lamar this season that he's turned the ball over a lot. I believe he's tied for second right now with interceptions, has fumbled 6 times and lost the ball 3 times. But 3 of those fumbles did come week 1. He's gone a good stretch of games without fumbling. Did just fumble most recently against the Steelers. But again, like you mentioned, they're still winning. They're still right in the hunt for the not just any regular seed, the number 1 seed in the AFC. They're 8-4. They're behind the Titans right now. They're still, I think they have some kind of differential above the Chiefs. So going right now, they're 3rd in the AFC. But do I think that they'll get the 1 seed? No. But regardless of all that, you mentioned the laundry list of injuries that the Ravens have experienced. Defensively, offensively, both sides of the ball, they've been decimated across the board. It's hard when you're trying to do it all by yourself, and that's what we're witnessing from Lamar Jackson. He's trying to play the hero ball that we spoke for 80 minutes about with Patrick Mahomes and Herbert, but we're actually seeing it take a negative toll for an offense with the Ravens. Lamar is still one of the best rushers in the league. He has over 700 rushing yards in the NFL. He's one of the best rushers, period, in the NFL, running back or quarterback. It's just that his passing has been sketchy for me. This game against the Browns, they play any other team. Any other team is probably rude. They play a notch above the Browns. They're losing that game. You don't make 3 terrible errant throws like that, where it's basically right at the defender and somehow win the game. But I'm going to give Lamar his credit still. He had two great games that stand out to me. Against the Colts, that comeback win was basically all Lamar. He did his thing that night. And then against the Browns, where I'm criticizing his throws early in that game, he still came back and threw an unbelievable pass to Mark Andrews, scrambling out of the pocket. They had like this little animation where Myles Garrett comes basically unblocked, and you see Lamar Jackson's little blurb just running all over the field.
Like a next-gen stat thing.
Dude, and then he just puts a very great ball to Mark Andrews where only he can make that, and it was a touchdown. I think that we're seeing the bad, we're still seeing some good. He's been put in a tough situation, and they're still winning. If they were the Browns, for instance, if they were 6-6 and they were third or something in the division, then yes, I would start to say, Lamar, pick it up. But no team has seen injuries the way that the Ravens had, because obviously teams do have injuries, but it's not just regular people. I mean, you're losing J.K. Dobbins, who's supposed to be their running back 1, Marlon Humphrey, and Marcus Peters. So not just your cornerback 1, your cornerback 2 on top of it. It's hard to win when you have injuries like that. So yeah, I'm gonna give him a pass because I know what Lamar Jackson is. I know who he can be. It's just he's been put in an unfortunate situation that some quarterbacks have to go through.
Well, this is what I've said all along. I've always said Lamar.
Here he goes.
Lamar.
He goes. Because you know what? I didn't want to take my victory lap because he's already down. Lamar's down right now. It's unfortunate. It's obvious Kyler Murray's better than Lamar Jackson. I didn't want to take that victory lap. But here he goes, backtracking on his word. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
It's funny that I really caught you. That wasn't what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, really? Joking. He's lying. He's lying.
I was just joking. I would never do that.
I would never flip-flop. It's pick a side. Get out of here.
I'll never do that. Lamar Jackson, I'm not too worried about him, but I will say this. There are 2 teams leading their division in the AFC currently that are pretenders, that are not going to do anything come playoff time. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't even finish atop of their division. The Ravens, I'll start off with the Ravens.
Yep.
The Ravens are not doing anything in the playoffs. The injuries have dismantled their team. They're too Lamar Jackson-centric. I feel bad for Lamar because even though he hasn't been playing his best, they're asking him to do damn near everything. And as much as you want to rave about Hollywood Brown, I mean, this guy, he disappears. The only consistent guy is Mark Andrews. At this point, should have probably called for Auden Tate and got him in the room.
Oh, God.
He would have been a big-bodied receiver.
Divisional.
Yeah.
Auden
Mr. Tate. He would have done what Hollywood wishes he could do, which is contested catches. That's that boy Auden Tate. Now, let's talk.
It's like 4-4.
This was terrible. Yeah, but go on.
Now let's talk about the.
Let's talk
a little about the Ravens.
He could have said
anybody.
Else.
You could have said Keelan Cole. I said okay.
The defense, Auden Tate is better than Keelan Cole.
Oh my God, bro! You're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy, bro. You're crazy.
I'm gonna let you slide this time.
Keelan Cole actually puts up numbers in yards. Auden Tate doesn't.
It's gonna happen when you play for the Jaguars, man.
All right, bro. We'll see.
Leave it to deal it
for the Jaguars.
So Ravens.
Only place gonna start.
They're too Lamar Jackson centric. The defense is good. It's not great. Some days they can be very bad. Then the Tennessee Titans. They've been dismantled by injuries. Their defense has been playing much better. But Ryan Tannehill has regressed, and I don't blame it solely on him because he's running for his life every single play. The offensive line stinks. Ryan Tannehill has no time. I think he's shell-shocked from all the hits he's taken this year. Same thing can be said for Lamar. Henry is out. We're not sure when he's coming back. A.J. Brown, Julio constantly hurt. They have to get healthy. The Ravens and the Titans are both pretenders. When talking about the AFC South, Colts can very well win that division still. They can. Even though my pick was Tennessee before the season, injuries happen, man. What can I say? And the Bengals can win the AFC North. I know that they're an inconsistent bunch, but when talking about the talent, they have more talent than the Ravens right now. They just have to be consistent, which is a big question mark. But talent-wise, they're a better team to me than the Ravens. Those are the 2 pretenders. The offense is too Lamar Jackson-centric. I'm not blaming Lamar for this season. I feel like because of this social media age, quarterbacks can't have a season to struggle. Every single time a quarterback has a down season, he sucks, replace him, he's no good. I'm glad those narratives aren't circulating with Lamar, but we see them circulating with Baker this season, even though he's been hurt. He's dealt with 3 to 4 injuries.
Come on, don't put those 2 in the same category.
And last year, the same thing happened with who? Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had a down year. And last year I said this. I said, stop overreacting.
Yeah.
Big Ben had a year where he threw 15-plus interceptions. Eli had a year where he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. I said, don't overreact. Every great quarterback has a down year. Last year was Carson Wentz's. Now we see this season, he's picking it back up. And if he has another season like this, he's going to be back in that top 12 conversation.
Agreed.
Like he was before. Lamar Jackson is just having a down season. It is what it is. But let's not over-exaggerate over this because this is just a down year.
No arm Lamar.
No arm
Said
Lamar
it
is
all
so
along.
rude.
I thought I was going to go that way.
I was going to say, the one thing I would
I'm
say
glad. Thank you.
is maybe this is more than anything just kind of, it puts quarterbacks into two boats. Can you elevate your team, which is like what Lamar can, or are you more like Wentz, who is a solid quarterback, but he can't overcome what the Eagles' dysfunction was last season?
Do you notice this, though? Mahomes has a couple bad games. Still is like top 8 in every single quarterback stat.
Might be first in yards still.
And everybody's saying he's regressing. Man, he's
Brady
regressed
Top
tremendously.
5.
He's regressed tremendously. But Lamar Jackson, 16 touchdowns, 13 picks on the year.
Have you heard tremendously?
Not a peep from him.
You're saying for Lamar?
They have said that the league started to figure out Mahomes. That's what the narrative was this year.
Who's saying that?
I don't know.
Look,
They said the league figured out Lamar,
Oh, you know
too.
what? Okay.
In the offseason.
I'll tell you-
Then Lamar started off hot. That started to go away. Now Mahomes was the target. That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you what, Joel, you're right.
It wasn't
People did come out and say that they figured out the Chiefs' offense.
Lamar is playing poorly, and I'm not saying that people should criticize him for it, but I'm saying that you don't hear much people talking about it.
Not that they figured out the Chiefs' offense, though, but, I mean, they're very limited
game
this year
plan,
compared
yes.
to previous years.
But like I said, what should they do? Start being a little bit more running back oriented. We see them start to have some success. Just hit the checkdowns. Opens up the field so much more.
We beat that.
Oh, yeah.
We beat that horse for
Exactly.
months.